Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann here on this Thursday morning. It's January 19th. 2023. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Coffee Ann program. I'm Joe Callahan. With me is Bob Lauder. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here with us. Emily Haining-Sheehan from The Call. Good to have you here as well.
Good morning,
Nice to have you here, Em.
everyone.
And before we jump into all the important discussion stuff, let's get a first message from The Call newspaper. Em?
Well, I think tonight and tomorrow is going to feel a little bit like winter.
I think so.
I think so. And speaking of winter, we have a winter special. So for the month of January and February, we have a deeply discounted rate for 7 days consecutive advertising. Mm-hmm. So if you are interested in putting any type of ad, whether it's a winter special that you're having at your particular store, or if it's just trying to get new patients, you name it. You can give me a call at the Woonsocket call, 401-767-8500.
Very good, Em. Thank you very much. Now, last week, we asked Bob the all-important toothbrushing question.
Yes.
I've come up with another one, Bob.
More on hygiene?
Okay.
No, this one isn't on hygiene, but
Okay.
it's going to delve into your psyche.
Into my psyche.
Yeah, what kind of person is Bob? And Em, you can answer this as I want to
What
know
kind
as
of?
well.
Oh, my
It
wife
also
could give you a whole list, and it would.
the first question is: do you enjoy breakfast cereal?
I enjoy the breakfast cereal that I particularly eat. Yes.
Okay, Em, do you have breakfast cereal?
I am not a breakfast person.
No. Okay, so you might not be able to answer this question then. So the question comes down, Bob, when you're enjoying your morning breakfast cereal, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, and you got your box, okay, and you pour it into the bowl, but you don't have a full bowl.
Okay.
Do you just eat what you have, or do you go grab another box
I go grab another box.
and fill the bowl?
Yes.
Okay. Does it have to be the exact same cereal?
I've eaten the exact same cereal every time I eat cereal for the last 20 years.
You don't change it up?
I never change it.
Wow.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Well, but what
I
about
also
when you,
don't
what
use.
about?
I don't put milk in it either. I take it dry.
Oh, well, that ruins my question for next week. But anyway,
Your next week's question.
what about when your daughter was home? Didn't
Right.
she eat a different kind of cereal than you?
Yes.
And you never ate any of hers?
No.
Okay.
I like the brand I eat.
Well, I guess so. If you've eaten it for 30 years and it's
Yeah.
never changed. Okay.
See, I'm an odd one.
Wow,
So,
okay.
like for breakfast yesterday,
Yeah.
I ate sushi.
Well, okay.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah,
different. I know-
I have not been really a big breakfast person my whole life.
Okay.
I'm an odd eater. So, during my high school years, because I played sports,
Yeah.
I would have pasta for breakfast. Because it's carbs, especially before, a match. I would have pasta for lunch, dinner, breakfast. But I will say, if it's later in the day, because I'm not an early breakfast eater, I usually eat around like 10:30, 11 o'clock. But if I were to eat breakfast, it would be a traditional breakfast. So like a Western omelet
Okay.
or, eggs.
Pancakes.
No, I do
too many
not.
carbs?
I don't like pancakes,
wow.
except for chocolate chip.
All right. Scott McGee is joining us on the phone. Hello
Hey,
there,
Scott.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Nice to have
Good, how are
Now,
you?
Now, the all-important
Good, I don't
question
know. Yeah,
we have going.
I was listening. I'm sorry to cut
Okay.
you off, but I'm going to say Fruity Pebbles if they still sell them.
They do sell Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
Now, I bring this up. I brought it up to Bob, and Bob does what I do. If you don't have enough in the bowl, you keep filling it up until you have a full bowl. My family thinks I am the most bizarrest person for doing this.
Why?
No, not at all. My brother used to eat cereal without milk all the time. which is
Wow,
kind of
Bob
weird.
does that.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
they think it's odd. They will, if it's my wife or kids, if they only have like a third of the bowl, okay, we just finish that and then go get more. And I'm like,
Right.
not only I normally try to eat the healthier stuff. So I'm looking at Wheat Chex, I'm looking at Cheerios, things like that. But if I only have like a half a bowl, if I can, I'll go grab the Cocoa Krispies and fill it. So I have the two different textures, the two different flavors. Awesome combination. But my
I'm not a
family
big
think I
cereal
am odd.
guy unless it's a Rice Krispie treat, really.
All right. Well,
I like the Rice Krispie treats and the Fruity Pebbles, but
what I was
that.
going to ask next week, Scott, and now you don't have the answer, and Bob doesn't have the answer, is when you, I noticed this in my family as well. I pour the cereal into the bowl and then add milk.
Okay.
Members of my family add milk first to the bowl and then add the cereal, and I'm like, that to me is bizarre.
I don't recall ever seeing people in restaurants do it that way. I think
Most people do not.
Okay.
But that's the way members of some of my family do it, and that's the way they prefer, because it's got something to do with the crunch in the cereal.
Well, it gets
It gets crunchier. It stays crunchier.
Yes, it doesn't get soggy
I
as
think
quick.
we should have a test, though. You can bring in some cereal next week, and we'll try it out and see.
Well, Bob, you have to tell us, you've only eaten the same cereal for the last 30 years. What are you eating?
It comes from Stop and Shop. It's their house brand of crunchy raisin bran or something like that.
Like the clusters? Or
With the clusters.
Okay.
Yes.
Scott, do you have an absolute favorite?
No, not really.
No?
You know,
Okay.
No, not really. I'm not a big cereal guy, honestly.
I like
all right.
oatmeal.
I'd rather have
Oh,
everything
no.
bagel with chive cream cheese is
Oh,
kind of
that's
my
good
order.
stuff, too. All right. We're
My mother
moving.
used to love oatmeal, but it also has the consistency of that stuff you use to patch up concrete cracks.
You're not eating the good stuff then.
Oh, ooh.
All right, moving on to other things. We'll put Bob to the side here because it's going.
That's okay.
We're going to
That's
talk
fine.
sports for just a minute.
Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
let's talk sports.
Well, Scott can talk
I know
sports.
Chris
Chris
Ford
Ford
passes
passed
away.
away. 70,
yes,
and he was
74.
only. I know he was
So
young.
and they didn't really. I haven't read what the cause of death was. I don't
No,
know if he was sick or what.
I haven't either. And for Bob, who is
Staring at the wall.
has
Boston
no
Celtic.
clue. He
Oh.
was a Boston Celtics player. He actually won a ring. He was an MVP. He also coached.
Assistant coach
and-
for the Celtics.
Yes.
Wow.
And won a ring. And he was the first person ever to shoot a three-pointer.
Wow. Okay.
Now people have been
Impressive.
shooting 3-pointers for years, but there was no line.
Yeah.
When the NBA finally put the line in, and
He
say,
was-
okay, everything behind the line is now worth 3 points. He was the first.
He was
I
the
never knew
first.
that until I read it yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and he becomes one of 4 guys to win a ring as a player, win a ring as a Celtic coach for the Boston Celtics. So
Yes.
that's Bill Russell and Tommy Heinsohn
Yeah,
and Casey
Tommy.
Jones and now Chris Ford.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that? He's in a very elite group.
Had
Yes.
he retired, or was he still?
Oh, he was
coaching?
retired.
Oh, yeah, no,
He's been
retired.
retired for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it was just surprising to read.
And then we got and then
the
the Boston Red Sox were paying $7 million for 1 year for a 34-year-old that was injured last year.
The 34-year-old outfielder
Yeah,
from Atlanta.
I don't know.
Yeah. But and PC lost.
I know
And
to Marquette.
And but the Bruins won.
Yes, the
So- so the
Bruins,
Bruins won, so-
are 30. If I remember correctly, they're 35-1-4,
Something like that.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have the best record
They're
in the
doing
league
very,
right
very
now.
well.
Wow.
The news came out today that the New England Patriots will play in Germany. Now, according to what from what I read, and then I got confirmation from other sports people that know, they're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs
Yeah,
in Germany.
That should be an
They
interesting game.
draw very, very well. in
Yes.
Germany.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Huge
Yes.
crowds for American football.
Yeah.
That's surprising because I thought
England
Germany was
draws-
much more into soccer and things like
They
that.
are, but they got they used to have American Football League over there
Right.
for a while. I don't know if they still have it, but it draws terribly, terribly well.
Great.
So as long as they have sellout crowds, they're going to keep doing it. And it draws huge crowds in England, and they go to
Yes.
Mexico City too.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they're going to branch out. But Germany next year is just huge. So
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So and
Oh,
I
that's
told
exciting.
Dave, I said, great. That means the game will be on at about 9 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. And you
So
can actually watch it.
Things will be done by noon, and you got the whole rest of the day.
Yeah.
So how great is this? So I'm very happy for me.
Good. Good.
All right, Bob. So on to legal things.
Uh-oh.
We'll keep it here in the city
In the city.
with the whole methadone clinic.
Right.
They were given a cease and desist order by the zoning board.
Correct.
Do they have the authority to issue a cease and desist order? I was under the impression they only came from judges.
The zoning board, I don't know the real terms of the cease and desist order, but the zoning board has the authority to control what people are doing with their real estate. And the zoning board apparently determined that having the methadone clinic on this particular parcel of land, even though the parcel of land was not owned by the city, was a violation of the zoning ordinance. And so they have said to them, stop doing it. Now, there's also penalties that go along with that, and that's within the purview of the zoning board. Yes, you can be penalized. The actual imposition of the penalty would, of course, have to go before the municipal court. So they can say, we're going to charge you the $25 a day if you haven't...
$500 a day.
$500 a day? I'm sorry. Okay. But they're not the ones who would impose the obligation to pay. That would have to go before the municipal court, I believe.
Okay. So I'm incorrect when I say that only judges can order cease and desist orders.
I think
Other bodies can as well.
the notice could be termed more properly that it's a notice that says you're in violation. And if you continue the violation, we're going to go to court and try and have you penalized up to this amount of money because that's what the statute says we have as a penalty for violating the order, violating the zoning ordinance.
Well, the clinic is violating it. And they said they're going to, and they are. I drove by it yesterday, and they were open for business. And I'm assuming they'll be back there. They're probably there now. So
I think it's something that the city and the people who run the clinic should sit down and discuss what can happen, because the clinic is obviously needed by some members of the community. There was one article, I believe, on the television news that said that Woonsocket had the highest rate of drug use in the entire state. And that's not a statistic that we should be really proud of.
No.
And we should also be trying to assist people who are burdened with this particular malady of being addicted to drugs.
Okay, so the zoning board was in their parameters to to pass along the cease and desist order. They had the authority to do it.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, you want to weigh in on this at all, Scott?
Yeah, I was just going to say I can chime in on that. Yeah, so they do have the authority to do that. Like Bob said, though, they'd have to go to court to overturn it, that kind of thing. But the good news is we're all aware of the problems, and I'm just learning all of this, by the way. But
As the new counselor,
everybody's on the same page as far as needing more help. So we are going to be sitting down with community care within the next month or so. We're all going to sit at the same table and come up with some more solutions and suggestions, and we're all just kind of bringing all our ideas. So that stuff should hopefully all clear up, not completely, but definitely help. Even I know the homeless was a big issue too. So we're getting together on all of that stuff, which is great. That's what needs to happen.
All right, glad to hear that. We'll take before we get to other things, let's get a second message from the Call newspaper. So over to M, and then we'll take a break here in the Coffee Am program.
Yes, so today starts, you can go on woonsocketcall.com as well as the pawtuckettimes.com and enter to win our Valentine's Day contest.
Nice.
And I can now announce what the prizes are going to be. So the
one briefcase.
No.
Those are perfect Valentine's Day gifts.
Yeah, no. So the third place winner, which it is all selected at random, who the winners are, just to put that out there. But you can vote once a day on our two websites. The third place winner will win a $25 gift certificate to the kind of the sponsor of their choice. So we do have sponsors participating in the contest. And then our second prize winner is a $50 gift certificate to the sponsor of their choice. The grand prize winner
Two briefcases.
Not two.
Matching briefcases.
Stop it. The grand prize winner is a night stay at Foxwoods with $150 food voucher.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very nice grand prize and second prize and third prize. So like I said, there's some great businesses participating in the Valentine's Day contest this year. So go to woonsocketcall.com as well as pawtuckettimes.com and put in your vote.
All right, Em, thank you very much. More of the Coffee and program coming your way. You can call in comments or questions at 766-1240.
Celebrate Chinese Lunar New Year with Chan's delicious Chinese cuisine. It's the year of the rabbit. Call 401-765-1900 for takeout, dinner reservations, and entertainment at Chan's. Friday, the 20th of January, Viva Las Elvis with award-winning tribute artist Dan Fontaine featuring Memphis Sun Mafia. Saturday, the amazing Papa Chubby King of NYC Blues. Karaoke party every Friday and Saturday night from 8 to 11. Kung Hei Fat Choi. Happy Chinese New Year from John Chan at Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, 267 Main Street in Woonsocket.
Hi, I'm Kathy LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello or maybe Zapalas right before St. Joseph's Day, Easter breads, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first, and he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
Scott McGee, we just heard your ad right there. So, Em, let's have Scott's phone number again.
All right. You can call at 401-639-2906.
One more time there, Em.
401-639-2906.
Very nice, huh, Scott?
I love it.
Scott, what do you got? What do you got for a listing for today?
We actually have an open house this Saturday on this listing too, from 11 to 12:30. It's 30 Round Lake Drive in Burrville. So that's 30 Round Lake Drive, Burrville.
All right.
It's new construction, brand new construction at a extremely reasonable price. So we have a 1,632 square foot colonial, and we got it priced at $429, and that's it's out in like the Stag Head, almost on the Thompson, Connecticut line out there, but nice and private, brand new home, 3 bed, 2.5 bath on this one. So it's almost on a full acre.
Nice. All right.
That's
Em's looking
really
it up right
cool.
now to see if she's interested.
Yep, 30 Round Lake Drive. Yep, and you can come look at it anytime. It's vacant, brand new. Granite countertops, hardwoods on the first.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
so
nice house. Yep.
Bob and I.
It's probably the
Bob and I
most
are looking
reasonable house I've had in a while.
Nice
Really?
kitchen.
Yeah,
far
it's
as
very
pricing
nice.
goes.
Very nice kitchen. Nice
Is it,
hardwood
Brand.
floors.
Is it a development out there, or is this just been by itself?
Nope, it's just by itself. On,
Okay.
on a street with. There's probably only, I think there's only like 4 or 5 houses on the street.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah,
Very nice. And
that's what I got to offer today. And I got an open house 11, 12:30 tomorrow, Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday.
in Mount there in Burville. All right, cool.
And it looks like the bedrooms have carpet.
Yep, the hardwood's on the first, and then the bedrooms all have carpets. 2.5 baths, which is nice, and the master's a good size too. So, for the
Yeah.
money, I'm telling you, it's a great deal.
And it looks like there's possibility for the basement to be finished at some point.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing with the basement, nice high ceiling, so you could actually finish off a regular ceiling too if you wanted. If you didn't want to do the drop ceiling, it's kind of nice.
And it looks
So-
like there's a walkout.
Yep, walk out to the back, and there's Round Lake actually up there. Is they have their own little private beach up there, so it's neat. Yeah,
Oh,
you can
right.
walk from there.
So you got listings.
Come visit.
You got listings
Sorry.
all over the state, huh? Don't you, Scott?
Yeah, I kind of do. The
know.
state's small.
Yep.
I drive over. You know what I mean? It's only in 1 hour, one end to the other, so it's not that bad.
All right.
Just, again, open 11 to 12:30 Saturday. Maybe we'll see you guys there.
All right, cool. All right,
right.
I got another question here for Bob, another legal question, because we're all following the story out of Massachusetts. And Brian Walsh was arraigned yesterday, murder of his wife. And I know it's been done in the past, but how is it done, Bob, where you are arraigned on a murder charge and there's no body?
You don't have to have a body to.
Well, how come?
DNA.
Is
If
that
they
I would
find
think I would
DNA.
think the circumstances of what they had observed him doing ahead of time, and the fact that his wife is incommunicado and they can't find her anywhere, would lead to the conclusion that there was a murder.
that was committed? Okay.
Yes, and I don't think they'll need to have a body to actually convict him.
Well, they found a hatchet with his DNA and her DNA on it.
He could have been shaving.
With a hatchet. Okay.
I'm playing devil's advocate, obviously.
Good defense strategy.
Well, I read the defense strategy yesterday, and there wasn't much of one, other than saying we're not going to comment on the evidence because the evidence hasn't been turned over to us. So we really have nothing to say at this time, other than they could have commented on what was brought up at the arraignment yesterday, which was really damaging. I thought
Very damaging.
All the websites that they found that on his son's iPad. Nice try. Yeah, right, Bob. If you get a search warrant for the house, that means they can search everything in the house, right?
I would believe so.
Not
Yes.
say, stop, don't look at my kids' toys. Oh, no, we're going to look at everything in the
Yeah.
house. Yeah. So, but that's what he was looking up the sites on.
Let
on
me
his
do
son's,
some research
on his son's
for you
iPod.
and find out cases where they've had convictions
But
for
I know,
lack of a body.
I know it's happened. I was just looking for a little background of how can it be done. I think we just lost Scott. Scott will call back. All right. So yeah, but
the part
it's been
about
done in the past.
Googling the various ways of disposing of a body, though, I thought Google was notorious for not having particularly accurate scientific advice.
Well, it
so
doesn't.
why would you
they
go
might
there?
not. They might not have scientific advice. Any I could write an article on this is how you build a rocket to get to the moon, and put it there. Now, whether or not it'll actually work, that's something else. I've just written an article, and if you want to take my advice, well, that's really your fault. But so.
Okay.
But
I would
and
not-
I understand it doesn't look good, but we live in the United States and we have freedom to go do any kind of foolish thing we really want. And if you want to look up how to get rid of a body, you can go look it up. You're not necessarily going to do anything about it, but I guess you can look it up. Although I don't know why, because you can,
Well,
right?
yeah, sure.
I'm not defending this man, by the way. I'm trying not to, but I wish. Well, I really don't wish, but I wish there was something a little more concrete. Yes, we found most of her wherever, and they can link it back to him. I'm really hoping that's what happens at some point.
Well, I think yesterday they did comment saying something about her being incinerated.
Really?
Yes.
But where?
That I'm not sure, but I did.
Did he do it? Did he go out into the woods?
And that's.
I would imagine that if it was an individual disposing of a body in the woods, there would be lots and lots of remaining evidence. That's not
Well, you would
something
think
he's
so.
going
Yeah.
to completely obliterate.
It was funny because I was just doing some research for a client we have here about it's for a funeral home and cremation at Baraducci, and looking up statistics on cremation and things like that. And it actually takes 3 hours to burn a body, to get rid of to get it down to small ashes. That's a long time.
And even
for someone
then-
not to notice smoke or something.
Oh no, even then the ashes contain
Still
DNA.
contain the
Yeah,
DNA.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see what happens with this guy. He pled not guilty because they always plead not guilty because they
Well,
have
you
to,
have to.
right? You have to.
Yeah.
When you're first arraigned
Yeah.
in a case, if this was Rhode Island, he'd be brought into the district court. The district court does not have the authority to handle felony charges, only misdemeanors. So they would automatically enter a not guilty plea. The case would be bound over to the Superior Court, where he would then go for a further arraignment. And at that time, they determine whether or not he'd be released on bond or not.
Okay. This kind of the call that was called in kind of goes to you over here on a
Okay.
different subject, 766-1240.
We're not going to hear about murders? Oh,
Not
good.
this time. The caller that wrote in said they moved from Pawtucket out to Mapleville and is surprised and happy they still get the Pawtucket Times out there in Burrillville.
yes.
But they do say they do miss the Teletimes column.
Yes, and
hear that a lot?
yes, I actually had a lovely phone call with a gentleman yesterday asking about that as well, and to let all the listeners know, especially the ones that have moved out of Pawtucket and still get the Pawtucket Times, and the ones that are still in the Pawtucket Times territory, so to speak. I have inquired with our editor in regards to the Teletimes. So I
And for
will-
those of you not
keep
familiar with it,
everybody-
What was
you,
that?
you would put out a question,
yeah, you would actually call.
and then there'd be a number to call if
There
you
would
wanted to
be a
give your
number
response.
to call, and you could either
Leave a
if
message.
leave a message with a story, with a comment,
Yeah.
what have you,
And then you'd print them.
and then it would be printed
Oh,
in the Pawtucket Times. I know that it's been a while since we've had it,
Mm-hmm.
but we're always always up for suggestions on if something can be brought back, or
Mm-hmm.
if something was missed, or if there was an error.
Mm-hmm.
In any information. So I do appreciate the calls. That you typically, if you call the 401-767-8500, for the most part, you will get me. If not, then I usually do return phone calls within 24 hours. So you do get an actual person. It's not, dial, 1 if you're looking for this. It's not an automated system. There is a live person on that other end. So
Okay.
I thank you for, whoever called that in, and hopefully I will have an update on unfortunately it's not my decision, but I can definitely ask and try, and I'll give everyone an update once I get one.
Okay. I always thought it was funny because you have to do this. That the Times and the Call, they reserve the right to edit the comments
That is
to
correct.
knock out the saltier things that people say.
yes
and
yes.
the liability.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
We did have a note that was called in now. Back to Chris Ford. He played his college basketball at Villanova. He was a player for 5 years with Detroit. I do not remember that. 5 years with Boston. He played with the championship in 1981. This person says he never won an MVP award. So I don't know. So we'll
Don't
see.
look
what
at
I-
me.
Bob, what do you think? Yeah.
Well,
Arbitrate that
that's
one.
what I heard on the news.
Okay.
So you never know.
That's right. That's right. Hey, so good news here. The Boys and Girls Club here in Woonsocket has moved. They're in their new location. They are up and running on the corner of Rathbun Street and Social. They moved out of the Kendrick Ave. And then more good news, they just received $2 million
Oh,
Wow,
that's
great.
wonderful.
From whom and
from
for
the
what?
federal government. U.S. Senator Jack Reed awarded them yesterday to help upgrade all the work they're still doing
Yeah.
over there on that corner. The expansion will triple the capacity of the facility, provide needed services every day for hundreds of children.
That's wonderful.
And we're very lucky. I'll make the announcement now. We're going to have 2 members of the Boys and Girls Club joining us on Coffee and tomorrow.
Great.
Guy Ribello and the he's the CEO, and Ellis Cooper, Director of Operations.
That's great.
They gave me a little tour yesterday of what is open. They are still working on the downstairs of what used to be the racquetball club there.
Right.
But the upstairs is up and fully functioning, and they have a bunch of 5 to 12-year-olds that come there before school and after school, and there's plenty of stuff for those kids to do there. So things are going really well. The coolest thing they have there, and the kids all love it, automatic washing hands machine. It is and I did it yesterday. It is. I mean, you really got to pull your sleeves up, by the way.
Yeah.
And you stick your hands in to this machine, and it washes them for 12 seconds. You can't. Well, you can take them out, but it feels great because the water's nice and warm.
Yeah.
And you just stick them in. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to rub them together. You just stick them in a machine, and it blasts you with water and soap for 12 seconds.
That's
It's
awesome.
awesome. And then you go over and you wash it, obviously.
Yeah.
And according to them, the kids love it so much that they just, like they touch the wall. Oh, I got to wash my hands again. I touched my shoe. Got to wash my hands again.
And
Just
that's
keep
the,
sticking their
and
hands
that's
in
the
the
great
machine.
thing
It's
about
so cool.
these types of organizations is that it enriches the younger generation's lives.
Yeah.
Just
And they need it.
and they do.
Just keep
They
them out of
do.
trouble. So
Yeah.
They can do their homework. They get fed over
No,
there, too.
it's-
So
it's
so
wonderful.
we'll hear more about it tomorrow.
There's little or no cost to the children to.
There is some cost, but it's it's very minimal. So but I'm going to find out about that tomorrow, too.
Did you find out how many kids are involved?
Right now, there's 130.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Yeah, they can go up to about a little over 200, so they can still take in more. So we'll get more on that tomorrow.
wonderful.
And what's funny about the hand washing thing is, you tell a kid to go wash their hands.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
done. We're done within a second.
Yeah.
But now they're shoving them in.
Yeah.
They're getting some real good rinsing going here. I think that's so cool.
That's awesome.
All right, and good for them getting the $2 million grant. That's
wonderful.
fantastic for them. All right, break time on Coffee and time for a look at the forecast being brought to you by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
An 80% chance of rain today, mainly after 3 p.m., high of 40 degrees. Up to a quarter of an inch of rain is possible during the daylight hours. Tonight, a 90% chance of rain before 4 a.m., switching over to snow before ending. Overnight low of 34. Little or no snow accumulation is expected Thursday night. Friday's weather, a 70% chance of snow, mainly before 1 p.m. New snow accumulation totals of 1 to 3 inches possible on Friday. Cloudy skies, high of 35 and north wind. Saturday, partly sunny with a high of 36. Sunday, a 30% chance of rain in the afternoon, mostly cloudy all day with a high of 41. Monday, a 60% chance of rain and very windy from the west up to 40 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy Monday with a high of 46. Tuesday, mostly sunny and 41. And Wednesday, a 50% chance of rain and snow, cloudy skies and 40 degrees.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, we have cloudy skies and 37 degrees. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The best little auction in Massachusetts is Trudell's Auction Gallery in Bellingham. Auctions are presented every other Monday starting at 10 a.m. Please check out their website, TrudellsAuction.com, to see when the next auction takes place. You can stop by Trudell's Auction Gallery on the weekends before the auction to preview all the items being offered. You will see antiques and all sorts of personal property items from various estates. Trudell's Auction Gallery, 799 South Main Street, Bellingham.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Thanks, Gary. Do you remember coming your way at 9:30 this morning? It is Coffee and on ON. Joe Callahan here with M from the Call. Scott McGee had to go, and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for your first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to talk to you this morning in a simple, easy-to-read commercial. One which will convince Mrs. Rogers that I actually was paying attention to her during first grade reading classes at Providence Street School. I'd like to return to the subject of estate planning and decisions you should make in organizing the distribution of your assets following your death. Initially, you should make a list of your assets. What you have: real estate, money invested in banks and financial institutions, money you've invested in stocks and bonds, money you've invested in IRAs and 401ks and similar retirement plans, and life insurance policies. Then you should identify any individuals that you've added to the assets, either as a joint owner along with you or as a beneficiary to the assets upon your death. Once you know the extent of your present estate, it's time to move on to the second part, which I'll discuss in my next commercial. In the event you would like to discuss this or other legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. You know, sometimes stories happen around the state of Rhode Island, and I don't know if you're like this, Em, like me, and you're like, if something bad happens, you're like, oh, Jay, I really hope it doesn't affect the northern part of the state, and that way you don't have to pay too much attention to it. But and it all came out that there was a body found near TF Green Airport. Oh,
What?
gee, there was a body found,
Yeah, there
next,
was a body
next to a
found.
parking garage
Yeah.
a couple of days ago.
I didn't
And-
see that.
Yeah, and it was a woman. And I'm like, oh, you know, that's too bad. But, you know, you make the assumption that the woman is from, you know, that part of the state. No.
Never assume, because
That's
you
right.
you know what the saying is.
I know.
Yes.
And now the woman's from Pawtucket. And that means,
Yeah.
Em, now you're going to
Yeah.
get on the story.
Yeah.
So a 51-year-old woman was just found dead next to the Red Beam parking garage,
Yeah.
which is attached to TF Green Airport. And they're investigating. They say outright that it doesn't look like there's any trauma, but why is there a 51-year-old woman dead on the ground? It looks like she'd been there a couple of days too. So they're investigating what the cause of death was on this.
That's remarkable that she would have been there for such a long period of time.
It was
Before being
being seen.
Yeah.
being seen.
So I guess she was found. So today's Thursday, Tuesday morning.
I think it was Tuesday morning.
So she was just there. They think she died like over the weekend and just put there or whatever. And maybe they tried to hide her, and that's why she wasn't seen for a couple of days. But eventually, someone.
And no one
Hey, look at
reported
that.
her missing either.
No.
No.
That's why
That's
initially I
unfortunate.
thought, well, it's probably maybe it's a homeless person, passed away with the elements and like that. But I never figured they'd be from Pawtucket. I was like, oh boy,
yeah.
now you got to pay attention more to the story.
Well, I mean, because I have family
Mm-hmm.
all across the state. You know, I'm not your typical Rhode Islander. A lot of my whole husband's family is
All in one area.
is between Portsmouth, Middletown, and Newport. So and then I grew up going to Narragansett in South County. My uncle and my aunt and my cousins lived there. So I'm always, and our state is so small. So it's hard not to care about the whole state and not just one area. I know Woonsocket is, the center of the world.
Correct. Yes.
But for myself, my family stretches, throughout the state. But yeah, it's sad. And then, reports, yesterday in regards to all this dumping with the construction.
Oh, the 610 connector.
The 610 connector.
This mass company illegal
Yeah.
dumping.
All this illegal dumping. I mean, obviously, if you're a Rhode Islander, at some point in time, you're going to be traveling the route.
You'll see it.
You'll see it,
And you'll be on
and
it.
it was contaminated.
Yeah.
They didn't say what the contamination was, though. That
No,
surprised
no,
me.
they didn't. But yeah,
they
it's
said the source of it, which was apparently work on the railroad.
Contaminated fill.
Phil.
Yeah, it didn't say what it had, mercury or
what type
or
of
what was
chemicals
what was
or
in the soil.
no.
And they also said that removing it may be more difficult and cause more of a
Issue.
environmental problem than just leaving it there and not
But yeah, I
disturbing
mean, it's
it.
just it's mind-boggling to me.
So what is it? This company brought in waste from Massachusetts and just dumped it there?
Yes.
Well,
Wow.
apparently in the
Jeez.
construction they needed to have fill to make
Right.
level out the roads
Okay.
and things like that.
But
and
it
so
was
the source of the fill
An
that they brought in
abundance of
was
Well, here's-
contaminated.
Yeah.
Well, they must have known that.
I
You
would.
can't plead ignorance on this. Oh, really? It was?
No.
Yeah. That's not a good defense, Bob, is it? I didn't
Ignorance?
know. Ignorance, yeah.
And now
Well,
now the company is pledging to, or is being forced to, pay, twice the amount, of the original contract or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
costing them more money in the long run here.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just.
I think
Be
No,
honest.
no one the pleading ignorance, Bob?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
One of the things, though, is what was the contamination source? Actually,
Where did it come
in the
from?
in the
Okay.
soil. No, not
Oh,
where
what-
it came from, but what
what's
was
in it?
the source in the
the
soil.
soil.
And how do you responsibly react to having contaminated soil? What do you do with it? If can it be in some way purified
Cleaned.
or made less toxic, or what happens with it? And the level of contamination, is it really a health hazard to people? And what's the significance of the health hazard? What percentage and things like that? It's
He's
going to
such
be
a lawyer, huh?
No, it's well, not just for this case, but
Yeah.
anybody who has that sort of a situation arising.
I don't know. I don't have good questions. I just no answers yet. And maybe that'll come out in a few days now, and with this company when they do their investigation, or the state does their investigation on it, and we'll see what's in the soil. All right. So we had a stabbing at Kennedy Plaza a few days ago.
Yeah.
They did go down. An arrest was made of an 18-year-old man who's a student at Hope High School. He's facing felony charges. He's alleged to have stabbed a 16-year-old Mount Pleasant High School student. This all took place at Kennedy Plaza. The 16-year-old has serious injuries. They are not life-threatening. He is at Hasbro Children's Hospital. There was a reported fight between groups at Kennedy Plaza, which might have led to this kind of thing. So it's just the way it's the way the guys are. And this is how we settle differences. We get out weapons. Not everybody, but
Fights between gangs at various schools is something that's been going on for a long time.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunately.
But,
And how do you stop it?
I
don't
think
know.
that you try very hard to have kids in school educated to resolving disputes in other forms, but it's difficult. You're dealing with adolescents who have a whole lot of emotions that are rising to the surface, and not necessarily a whole lot of control over how they react.
Right. So well, hopefully this 16-year-old recovers and gets out of the gets out of the
Hopefully.
hospital.
Hopefully.
All right. Governor McKee had a State of the State address. Did you like hearing that he wants to lower the state sales tax down to 6.85, or is that just that's not enough? He must go from 7 to 6.85. Now keep this in mind with Massachusetts 6.25, Connecticut 6.35.
Okay. If he reduces the sales tax, he's going to reduce revenue coming into the state.
But he's going to save you money.
How is he going to make up the difference on the needed revenue?
What is he going to raise?
He didn't mention that part.
Well, I would imagine that the state needs the revenue,
Yeah.
and it has to come from somewhere.
Well, if you lower the state sales tax, will that mean people will stay in the state and then they'll buy more in state rather than out of state, which will raise
Well, you're
the
talking
amount of money you're raising?
You're talking about a 0.15% reduction in your tax compared to Massachusetts at 6.2 something and
Yep.
Connecticut at 6.3 and Rhode Island is going to be at 6.85. I would doubt that the sales tax is really what drives people to go across the border to make major purchases. I would think that they'd go across the border to make major purchases because they liked the product
Okay.
or
They
the
also,
initial price of the product.
But he also mentioned that, okay, we can lower it to 6.85. Hey, about next year, maybe we go down to 6.55. He says he can see a step down in reduction. And maybe eventually we get down to where Massachusetts is. But got to start somewhere.
Okay.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those
This is
things
no guarantee
that
either.
exactly. So maybe it's a trial and error, type of situation.
We'll see what the legislature does, because it's up to them.
And for those of us who are older than I am, you probably remember when the first sales tax came in, it
there
was
was no sales
1%.
tax. Yeah.
And the quote at the time was it was a penny for Pastore. Who was
Really?
the governor
Okay.
of the state at the
Yeah.
time.
And was it? They said, "Don't worry, it'll go away in a couple of years."
Probably.
That never happened. All
Never
right.
will.
All right, Bob. It's time for a second message from your law office, please. Then we'll take a break on the Coffee and program.
Thank you. Good morning. Earlier, I discussed with you the first stage of estate planning. I'd like to move on to the second stage. Now that you have identified all of the assets presently known to you, and which in fact may not include all of the assets to which you're entitled at the time of your death, it's time to consider the eventual disposition of your assets. I suggest that you consider your assets into two categories. First, specific assets you desire to pass on to others following your death. And yes, Diana, that can include the small clock. And those collective assets corralled into one total estate. In each of these categories, you should be deciding not only upon the initial beneficiary, that is, the individual or entity you desire to receive the assets following your death, but also a residual beneficiary in the event your original selected beneficiary dies before you do. It's frequently prudent for an individual to consider bequests in percentage shares of the collective estate, and also to make provisions for the management of a bequest should the beneficiary that you have selected not yet attain the age of majority or suffer from a seriously debilitating physical or mental condition. In the event you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer, the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Thanks. Comments and questions can be called into the Coffee and panel 766-1240. More coming up. Stay tuned.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Hi, I'm Kathy LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello or maybe Zapolas right before St. Joseph's Day, Easter breads, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making. So many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
It is Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with M from the Call and Bob Lauder as well. And notice that's been called in 766-1240. How does the panel feel about a federal sales tax instead of a state sales tax?
Or in addition to a state sales
Or in
tax.
addition. I'm not too much in favor of an addition. What I am in favor of, and most people are not, but I look at the state of Maine, who puts a sales tax on everything, clothes, food, but their sales tax is like 3%.
Yeah, it's very low.
I'd rather have that, tax everything, but be very, very low, 2.5, 3. I'd rather see that.
I would disagree with you because
Okay.
I think that although it may be low now, it's like the penny for Pastore. It's going to raise
gonna
in
go
the
up?
future, and I would like to see them keep things such as food exempt from the taxation because whereas I could go out and buy a luxury product like a new pair of pants and expect to be taxed on it. Buying food is a real necessity, and
Yeah.
consequently, I don't like to see taxes.
But
on
if you know,
food.
if a federal sales tax comes, it's going to come on everything.
Well,
I
I know that
think.
over in the UK,
I'd
I
rather
think
not
they have
do
a
this.
value-added tax that comes
they?
from the federal, from their government,
government,
not federal,
yeah.
and it covers various products, but
Yeah.
it's from the national government, not from the local
Parliament.
counties or Parliament. Thank you.
But don't we
You're
already
welcome.
have a federal sales tax on certain things? I'm thinking gasoline. There's a federal tax and a state tax on it.
Right.
So we already
Yeah.
have it on certain things.
I think
Well-
you may be talking about more along the lines of the value-added tax that they have
Yeah.
in the UK, which covers a lot of things.
Well,
not a
and the
fan of
thing
it.
and the thing about Maine too is that the tolls are very high.
Hey, I know.
So that's one of the reasons, so in saying that,
Yeah.
maybe, the tolls will get higher here.
I always thought
Whisper that in the state legislature's ear, please. Keep that a secret. Don't let them think that that's a possibility.
I always
Well,
thought.
for Rhode Islanders,
Yeah.
we have if you have an Easy Pass in the state of Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, very low rate. It only costs me 80 cents to go over the Newport Bridge with
that's a
the
bargain,
with
as
the
opposed
Easy
to
Pass.
$2. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I think it's $4
Is
now.
it 4 now? Wow,
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, for Rhode Islanders, obviously, we're still, there's a lot of people that come here during certain times of the year. The
Mm-hmm. Visit the beach,
influx, the beach, the obviously the sites, things like that. Have them pay,
That you're right. I agree. And
know?
I remember as a kid going on vacation up to Maine and New Hampshire. That's where I first ran into tolls. My father throwing the quarter into the bucket.
Yeah.
I'm like, gee, why don't we shouldn't Rhode Island have
Yeah.
this too? Put it down in South County, coming right over the line from Connecticut, where it won't bother me.
And
I'm
I
like,
mean,
I
I
don't-
remember when there was a toll on the Mount Hope Bridge.
Yeah, 30 cents.
It was 30 cents.
30 cents on the
I
Mount Hope
I remember that when growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
And South County has become kind of like the New Hamptons.
Yeah.
You
So
know, a
let's,
lot of people
take
from
advantage of that.
from New York and New Jersey, and obviously New England
Mm-hmm.
as well.
I hate to sound like a Republican, but I'd be against bringing in more tolls and more revenue.
No, get rid of all of them, but just have one down on there on the Connecticut Rhode Island border. But then toll everybody, not just the trucks. All those out-of-staters coming over the border to go to visit the beach. No,
I think
not like it?
once you let the
Cat out of the bag.
mice
eh?
into the
to the cheese factory.
yeah.
All right. We brought this up yesterday. Just wanted to bring it up to you guys because it's kind of amusing when you think, gee, what's our state legislature doing? Down in Tennessee, there is a state legislator down there by the name of Lowell Russell, and he has put in House Joint Resolution number 23 in the Tennessee legislature, and it's a resolution. He wants to designate pumpkin pie as the state symbol of Tennessee. This is the important work they're doing in Tennessee.
Well, we have state-
calamari.
Yeah, we have
Well, that's our state
everything.
appetizer. He wants this to be the state symbol.
Oh,
So let's get rid of the chicken of the anchor that we have
Yeah.
and put a fruit there.
Okay,
It's bizarre, and they're going to vote on it down there. The House and the Senate down there are going
I
to
would
vote on
think
it. in this
Tennessee would
resolution.
be much happier being known as the place where they had Nashville and
Well,
country
they're
music
the
and things
volunteer
like
state.
that.
It's weird.
But to be known as the pumpkin pie state,
yeah, and in
Betty
the
Crocker might be happy.
I have
but-
I have the resolution that was
Yeah.
sent to me. Yeah, and it says whereas pumpkin pie can be traced back to the days of the early American colonists, right here, Mass and Rhode Island.
Yeah, exactly.
Tennessee came years later.
Years later.
So I
We're
don't know
the
why-
original 13.
Do you really want to be
Why do
driving
you
around
want
in a
this?
car though that has a license plate that says
With
the pumpkin pie
state.
state?
I do not.
No, I like our ocean state.
All right. All right, good story here. This one's out of, speaking of Kentucky, in that area of the country. Two good friends are sharing a $1 million lottery win. A man and a woman who want to remain anonymous were out on Saturday when they stopped for gas in Louisville, Kentucky. The pair bought 2 Mega Million tickets and let the computer select their numbers. And on Saturday, they checked their tickets and learned they were the winners.
That's great.
And after taxes, each will receive a check for over $357,000.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful.
And me being the cynic that I am, makes me wonder, will their husbands and wives find out about the affair this man and woman are having?
Ooh.
Doesn't say they're married, does it? No, it does not.
Will
Doesn't
they,
say
will they
husband and
share
wife.
with their spouses?
Men and women can be friends.
But should they be out together on Saturday night? Just the two of them?
Well, I would think that'd be a perfect opportunity for anybody.
and has the winner that bought the winning ticket in Maine, have they come forward yet?
Well, I don't know what the word is, and not that I've heard of, and I don't know what the rule is in Maine. Some states you have to say who you are. In other states, like Kentucky, you don't have to say who you are. You can remain anonymous.
Think it's
What is Maine?
and please, callers, viewers, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard that in Maine they have up to a year.
I think that's most places.
To claim
Any
it.
lottery prize.
Yes.
You have a year to claim it.
So
But
they at least have a year.
I was in my mind. I'm like, well, if I won that big thing, the first thing I'm doing is, hey, Bob, we're getting together.
Oh, yeah,
And-
that's
somebody else.
always the first.
And I'm bringing Ed Carew down, and the three of us are sitting down to decide what in the world do we do now.
Oh yeah,
I thought you were going to give me the tickets. So
No,
I
no,
could go
oh
redeem-
yeah. Keep this in safekeeping for me, will you please, Bob?
Darn.
No.
no. Sorry, Bob.
So Bob heard us tell this story earlier today. I don't know if you heard it. The Bronx Zoo in New York every year has a Valentine's Day contest.
This beats the briefcase.
But it's an anti-Valentine's Day contest.
Oh, okay.
So for $15,
Yeah.
you can go. It's their popular Name a Roach contest. So they have at the zoo a bunch of Madagascar hissing cockroaches. If you've ever seen these things, they're about 6 inches long.
So they're
6 to 8.
mutant.
They're huge bugs. It's just, that they're growing big there in Madagascar. But they're at the Bronx Zoo. So the point is, if you've had a nasty breakup with someone, you go name your ex one of the cockroaches. And that way you're getting...
That's pretty funny.
You get a little revenge.
That's a nice gimmick.
It is a nice gimmick,
It
and it's
is.
been working well. It's only $15. And people say that's a bargain, I guess. And the money goes for improvements at the zoo. And but you can if you
I
want.
wish it only cost me
Does your
$15.
ex know about the?
Well, then that would be up to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Oh.
could take a snapshot with with their name on it and say you're now residing at the zoo, kind of thing.
God, if I only knew, I would only have to pay $15 to
Yeah.
put my ex-husband's name on a cockroach
That's it.
instead of spending $15,000 on a divorce.
There
like
you
that
go.
would be
But it's not an official divorce.
great.
So you can go up to $75, and then the zoo is going to give you a tumbler for drinking,
Nice.
a tote bag, and then you get a virtual visit with the cockroach. You get a little Zoom meeting going with your roach.
A
How great
Zoom
it-
meeting at the zoo.
What do you
A
want to?
Zoom-
Zoom.
Do you want to go to the zoo and handle your cockroach?
No.
I do not either. So seeing it on a TV screen is just fine. But that's your roach. And I guess it makes noise if we're going to call it a hissing cockroach. So if you get near it, it's a little defense mechanism. But I've heard them do this over the past few years, and it must do very well, and it must make a lot of money, or at least a decent amount of money for the zoo.
That's
If you're into it, go check out the Bronx Zoo online
Whoa.
and see how you can take advantage of this.
that's funny.
It is funny. So.
that is very funny.
So a human leg bone's been found in California.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
These things wash up on shore.
All right.
And it just makes you wonder how they get there. Human bone was discovered on the shore of a Southern California beach. The femur, which is the large leg bone between the hip and the knee, it's your thigh bone, was found at Rat Beach. There's a good, fun place to go. It's just south of the city of Torrance in an unincorporated Los Angeles County. According to authorities, the bone washed ashore. The coroner determined it to be a human bone. They're working hard on identification. No word on whether it was wearing like a shoe or anything like that, or where it could possibly come from.
Wow.
The ocean hides many secrets.
Yes. And but all body parts will eventually float. If they don't
That
get
is
eaten.
correct.
It will come to the surface at some point. So.
No, that's true.
So be aware of that. And a couple out of Hawaii, they're charged on suspicion of selling fake art.
Oh.
Fake art, yeah. Knockoffs of centuries-old art. 60-year-old man, 31-year-old woman, charged with fraud in Pennsylvania, of all places. On Tuesday, prosecutors say they delivered art collectors with inauthentic wood blocks, which they tried to pass off as being several centuries old. The couple is facing the charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering.
Good luck.
There was an article on the news yesterday about a individual who had sued an artist because he claimed that the artist denied making a particular painting.
Really?
The artist was apparently rather famous, and the person who was suing him said that it was some kind of vendetta between the two of them, that he wouldn't acknowledge the painting. The person who was suing alleged that he had met the artist at a particular school, and also that the artist had served time in an institution where the plaintiff was serving as a prison guard, and that he bought the art from the guy for $100. Well, the artist defended the case, said he had never made the painting, he had never been to that particular school, he had never been incarcerated anywhere, let alone the prison where the plaintiff was the prison guard, and the artist was awarded several $1 million as a judgment against the plaintiff because of the fact that the plaintiff had been reckless in making the allegations and bringing the case to court in the beginning.
Wow.
It was unusual.
Yes.
I would say so.
Very interesting.
All right, we're going to wrap things up for the show for today. So we thank you for listening as always. We thank Scott Famighi for joining us for the first part of the show. Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much. Hope to be with you next week.
All right, Emily, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Very good. Stay tuned for Do You Remember? Gary Smith and the Crew coming your way at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Veterans facing a mental health crisis now have no-cost emergency mental health care. The Rhode Island Congressman David Cicilline, actually U.S. Congressman, says thanks to the